as a local business, should you be putting effort into content marketing in 2025, or with the birth of the AI overview, has that all died a death? Is content marketing dead and buried, seeing as everybody can get the results that they need from their queries from inside ChatGPT or Gemini or Perplexity, any of these other AI tools? They're often being more conversational now, and essentially search listings aren't really being used. So if you're looking to gain some visibility and ranking for your business, should that be in what we might call traditional content marketing? Well, today I would like to look at that and actually make the case that it isn't dead. We just need to approach it in more of a pure way, which I think has been the battle the entire time. So rather than it being something that we need to give up on, I feel that we just need to understand the landscape a little bit more, and it could actually be still the most beneficial investment the local smaller business can make into their visibility and their traction with potential customers. So before we actually jump into talking about the pros and the cons of it, let's quickly define content marketing against other ways that a local business would try and gain visibility. The way that it's often worked is that digital agencies, marketing agencies, would try and sell the number one spot on Google. Now, that has been a mythical spot for a good few years now, and yet still, even in the day of the AI overview, I'm seeing ads from digital agencies stating, I'll get you on the number one spot for Google. And it just doesn't exist. We all see a different internet. We all see different search results. Search results are very much tailored to our own personal browser history. And our location, our sort of intent. There's so much data, there's so many variables in there right now that it's not simply about a keyword search term as it once was. And yet still this is being pushed and sold essentially by digital agencies. Now, I won't go so much into how that can actually be quite a bit of it's very sneaky how somebody who's none the wiser, if you're a local business and you want to get on the page one of Google, essentially this will be a good search term for you. It's got low keyword difficulty and a fair volume, so we'll make that our target. There's often very little explanation into what the intent of that search term would be. So search terms have different intentions. Somebody who searches for golf clubs in Devon, I'm thinking Devon because that's where I am. Golf clubs in Devon, that sounds like quite a commercial intent. Somebody's looking to, get information and then possibly make a sale. The intention for somebody that is looking for a term such as like how to unblock a drain, how to unblock an external drain. That search term doesn't indicate commercial value. It doesn't indicate that they are ready to buy something or buy a service. They're trying to sort it out themselves and save a buck. And it's important to understand what you might be trying to rank for. This is not always made clear by digital agencies that are just trying to say, hey, this is a search term, we got you to number one of that. But it might be quite low volume, and the intent of the people searching for that term just might not be what you need as a business anyway. But the idea generally is that content on your site would rank in Google in search listings, and you would get that coveted number one spot. Now, there are two types of content that might rank. The one that's often pushed is something more like used in usually used more in a pay-per-click campaign, something like a landing page, and it's about presenting, this is who we are. So you bid for a term, and you have your landing page appearing at the top of the search listings on sponsored or whatever, and people can click that. and they'll go along to usually what is quite a static sort of landing page. It might be giving information about the business, the general service, and a pretty clear call to action. So get in touch with us now, or book your free ticket now, and blah 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 blah. So that's very black white. It's quite binary. The more nuanced sort of content marketing, which is where I've always had more interest, is more in valuable content. So this will be blog posts. This will be, to some degree, something like case studies, but certainly more blog posts, content that is already providing value for the potential customer and is already starting to build that relationship. That's content marketing where I feel across all different mediums and platforms, whether that's podcast, YouTube, or indeed your blog post, I feel like that's the content marketing that is the real and true investment for us, especially for a small and local business. The reason for that is because it does much more than a pay-per-click campaign page. It does much more than an ad on Facebook. It's not so salesy. Instead, it's proving the worth of your brand, of your business, to a potential customer. It's starting to build rapport and cultivate a relationship. And relationship, especially for smaller and local business, is the most important thing to start creating. In my own framework that I've put together, the Valor framework, there's a very set sequence. There's a set sequence to the customer journey, and it begins with visibility. So obviously a potential customer has to realize that you are there, whether that is in a pay-per-click sort of campaign, a landing page, where they're like, oh, okay, I've now just seen that your business exists, or whether that's an advert on LinkedIn or Facebook or another social. There has to be that element of visibility. And content marketing, obviously, if it's starting to rank for a search term, that gains you visibility. But the experience of the customer or potential customer, the lead, once they've actually visited your site or clicked that link, that is where true content marketing has its value that you don't get elsewhere. And you start to move along the customer sequence in authority. So we've got valor, visibility, authority, likability, or like, know, and trust. Then when you've done that, you present the offering, and then you want to work on retaining them. So valor is the framework there, the sequence. But true content marketing that is value led and providing customers or leads with information that establishes your authority and assists in the like, know, and trust journey. That is where true content marketing, again, across a podcast or posts or video, that's where that really thrives. And this is where we can this is where I would make the case for content marketing still being incredibly important, because although we now go to search engine listings and we see more immediately the hard and fast answers to within an AI overview, we might get some short, sharp, punchy bullet point answers from AI, but that is never going to cultivate like, know, and trust. That's never going to cultivate relationship or build rapport with somebody. So I think that where AI overview might provide some very quick answers for those that are on the go, we do have to remember that it is citing its sources, and it's not now about ranking number one on Google, but it's just that number one spot looks different. It's not a one dot listing up at the top. For a while now, that has been buried beneath sponsored links, and people also ask, and a whole page of other content. Now that there's an AI overview, or people are actually remaining within their AI tools, it still doesn't change the fact that true content, truly valuable content, is what will be cited by AI, and that the links are provided. So more recently in SEO, if you're working on SEO, the goal would not be so much to have a number one ranking, but to feature in featured snippets or other, or people also ask, other SERP engine features. So what are the benefits to your business ranking in that if you manage to? Well, it's that it has a prominent position. That's literally all it is. So I've recently been working with a company, an accounting firm, and they are really intent on providing value-led content. So we create templates, we offer guides on how to assess finances and problem solve. But the offer from the company is then, if you are still having trouble, if you would like some help with this still, then get in touch with us. Because those blog posts, those free templates, those free tools, those free resources have established the authority of this company as people that know what they're talking about, but also established like, know, and trust and likability. So these are the go-to people for some local businesses who are looking for accounting help in their various fields. And again, that's what you don't achieve in an AI overview. People looking for that deeper connection, people looking to more truly understand beneath the layers of the surface layer answer. There are links there for people to click on, and websites are still prominent in that space. And obviously, blog posts are what is feeding that AI overview. Now, whether it's in featured snippets or whether it's ChatGPT or Perplexity, all of the others, if you actually go into SEO tools now, you will see a number of things. One, you can see position tracking. So you can see how, whether a page that you've written, whether a blog post or a service page has come to the top of, the actual search listings. But then you'll also have SERP features. So people also ask, or featured snippets. It's a really great feeling when you get one of your pages ranking as a contribution in one of these. And again, it is there with the link and it presents the name of the website. So that's really great. But now actually in the SEO tools, you will see stuff like, whether you've had a mention in ChatGPT or other AI tools. And that's really quite something to celebrate, and realize that content marketing isn't dead. Again, is just that the prominent position, what used to be number one on Google, is delivered differently. It's about whether you are mentioned in ChatGPT. It's whether you are mentioned in featured snippets. It's whether you are mentioned in People Also Ask, and then cited as that source of information. Now, in some ways, I feel like it almost, jumps you ahead in the authority, because if ChatGPT or insert other AI tool here is actually citing your website, then that's a call to authority for your site. Last year, there was a really big rush on really thin AI written content, and as a local business owner, you may have been a bit concerned at that point, because a lot of businesses saw their rankings tank as a whole sort of flurry of AI content started to flood the listings, and a lot of businesses saw their rankings absolutely plummet, and they didn't really come back. But what did happen is that Google, let's say Google, changed their algorithm to start picking out AI content and valuing it less. So a lot of people that were suddenly able to write entire websites filled with AI articles suddenly found that while they enjoyed the sunlight for just a small period of time, suddenly Google was like, actually, this is all AI stuff. It's very thin. It's not really providing that much value. And then those sites started to, decline in their rankings. So what has come back? How do you now get the most prominent positions in search engine listings, or how do you get cited by ChatGPT? How do you get featured in snippets? And people also ask. Well, the simple answer is you've got to, as you always should have done, write really valuable content. A couple of years back, well, no, sorry, I think it was only end of last year, beginning of last year. There, I feel like it was a December, so I'm messing up on my thoughts there. But a helpful content update way before the AI thing really jumped in. But there was a helpful content update from Google. And in response to this, a lot of websites with thin content that was sort of spammy written, keyword focused, they saw their rankings absolutely decline. And these were the sites that, for want of a better word, had, or term, had marketing agencies that were really just sort of gaming the system, the keyword system. It was about writing copy with a particular heading structure and making sure that keywords were prominent. Now that is part of the game, but when agencies were taking their eye off the ball in terms of the value to potential customers, the value to Google's users who are looking for information, when the eye was taken off that, the problem was that there was lots of thin content out there that wasn't proving useful to different metrics. So, for example, it's not just about the heading structure in a blog article. It's not just about how many times the keyword is mentioned. Google would be looking at interaction on that page, or how long a user spends on it, whether they tend to go back to search engine listings because clearly they didn't find the answer they were looking for. And then and then Google would ascertain that, well, this content isn't actually that good. I initially gave it a go because it would, it had the keyword mentioned a number of times, but as Google has gotten smarter and the algorithm is informed by a lot of user behavior, it's been quite clear when articles or posts have been spammy written, keyword stuffed, and not actually written by the professional and with their level of authority and expertise and trustworthiness. So what I've just done there actually is quote is quote the EAT model, which is a bit of a guide for Google's algorithm, which is that you need to show in your writing and in your content experience, expertise, authority, and trustworthiness. And all of these come from valuable content, from helpful content. And so when you are saying, if a client is coming to you for your, if an agency is saying to you for your business, I'll write you 3 blog posts, and they're very generic, they're very cliche, they're keyword stuffed, but they're not really the sort of amazing advice that you would give to someone over the counter when you're trying to show how much you know and how much of a great service provider you are. If your blog posts don't have that energy and that depth of information and that depth of value, then Google will also not care to rank it. If your blog post, if your content doesn't have that level of value, then ChatGPT is not going to value it and cite it and present your site to or your content, or source your content to people that are making queries. So all of that to say, content marketing isn't dead. I still think that it's where, regardless of how people initially find your site or your business, however you become visible, once they visit your profiles and your website, the content that is on your site is going to start establishing authority, likability. It's going to express expertise, experience, and trustworthiness and authority in your field. And this is what's going to help nurture relationship and build rapport to the point where them fulfilling a call to action is more likely. So is AI killing content? Is AI going to kill off the blog post? I don't believe so, because blog posts are still the main source of its information and how it would answer queries. Content is still the number one investment that small and local businesses can make, that you can make in your business to establish like, know, and trust and authority with your potential customers, in order that they would want to use you to fulfill that service, or to provide a product. It has changed in terms of how many clicks or how much traffic we can expect from search engine listings, because quite simply, people don't always have to click through to get the information now. It's filtered into the listing pages themselves. But when they do, we want to ensure that they have valuable content that ChatGPT or other AI would actually cite, valuable content that is worth linking to, valuable content that once they link to your site and start exploring your site, they can actually move around and find lots of other interesting content for their field, for their industry, for their problem, that you would become somebody who has authority and trustworthiness for that interest that they have. So what that does really is it asks us to optimize for valuable content, but then also for the customer journey once they come to our site. We don't want them to bounce away from the site and back to search engine listings. We don't want them to close the site down and then never be able to find us again. So it's important that there's some measure, some method of audience capture on our site, whether it's getting them to download a free resource and we have their email, get them into a nurture campaign, whether we get them onto our socials or to consume other content on a different platform. So they read a blog post that's cited by ChatGPT, but then we link them to our YouTube and they subscribe and we're constantly in touch. These are the sort of methods in a wider digital strategy that we need to begin implementing for our local businesses. So in that sense, content marketing is not dead. It still needs to rank in a prominent position, whether that's AI tools being cited, or whether that is still being ranked as high as possible in the position, or whether that's having something like a SERP feature, a featured snippet, or a people also ask. We need to become prominent in those positions, but what we can expect has to be a little bit different. We're not going to get all of that traffic that we used to, but the traffic we do get is going to be higher quality. The traffic we do get needs to come into a system where there's a smarter digital strategy that implements audience capture. So again, the mailing list, or get them onto our socials, get them into our subscribe list on YouTube, get them into a forum that's on our site, or a community group, something along those lines where we retain the visitors that we have achieved. And the way to do every step of that is to value the user to a higher degree. It's to value that they are there, to provide value to them, to show off our expertise, to show off our experience, and ensure that we are people that they want to approach. So there are lots more technical ways that we need to make our content appear in the more prominent positions, but the overall idea really is to be as helpful as possible and provide all of the value that we can. So Neil Patel recently did a really good webinar, and it was really focusing on how one of the most important factors that you need to show in your local business or your brand is the authority side of things, your authority and your experience. So in that, it's important to set up our author profiles. It's important to ensure that every one of our blog posts has your name, has your profession, has a bit of a bio, and that these are consistent across all of your different platforms. So LinkedIn, your YouTube, your Facebook, and even on your website. it's important to ensure that your profile, your professional profile, has consistent information across all of these different platforms. So again, something that I see a lot from digital marketing agencies that are, maybe writing for your business, is that they don't really put much time into the author information on every post. On every post that is made on your website should be your name as a professional, should be your qualification, a bit of your bio. But more than that, just being on the front end of the site, that should be what is read in the schema code, which is what Google actually pays attention to, and ChatGPT. They are all reading the code, and it's important that they get the schema information about you as an author. So you are your brand. Your business relies on your brand. It's really important that you push that to the forefront of all of these pieces of valuable content that you're creating. Even if you're creating that content with the help of a digital agency or someone that's helping you write that post and keyword optimize it, it's important that it's done with your authority, your expertise, that you are having some level of input into those words, and that it reflects your experience and your professional take on the subject matter. So on the front end, it needs to be helpful content, valuable content, give away resources, give away templates, and then offer that call to action, and ensure all of that is presented with your own professional profile. But then also that needs to be in the back end code of your website in what's called the schema, and your author schema, and that information has to be consistent across all of your different profiles. That is how search engines, ChatGPT, that's how all of them are going to start linking up your experience and your expertise and your authority in your field, and present you as that. So so the sort of content that wins now, so original data. So be that professional that offers your own unique opinion. This is how you set yourself apart from ChatGPT and generic AI sort of answers. You need to be giving your pearls of wisdom that you have earned through years of experience and developing your expertise. That is how you are an authority, and your unique take is going to be what starts to stand out. So original data, original take or opinions, case studies on that, step-by-step how-tos and downloadable templates. Now that is, I think, still one of the best ways to offer value to people. Give them something to take away. It's quite astounding how low competition things like a certain problem and then the template can be. They're still out there for the taking. So if you are offering a free template, if you're offering a free resource, not only is that really good for gaining visibility, so we would like AI to say, oh, these guys have a free template that you can use for this, but also that is in exchange for a method of audience capture, isn't it? So that's a really good way to actually not trap your audience, but capture your audience, and then you can get them into a lead nurture campaign. Multimedia, short video, diagrams, code snippets, that's more relevant for me, but for your local business, essentially, again, it's giving away those little how-tos. So if you are a service-based business, even if you're offering car cleaning services, you might want to do some videos on how to get that perfect shine, or what products are really good to use, or what products really aren't good to use. All of these are helpful content that can go in short form on YouTube Shorts or Instagram or any of the others. Start building up that like, know, and trust. Or it can be on more long form videos, or even podcasts and things like that. So again, start putting your experience, your expertise, and your gaining your authority by putting valuable content into all of these different forms of media and platforms, content rather. And so on that, You can repurpose a lot of your content. So, I mean, I could take this podcast. I could feed it into, I could feed the video into AI, and then it would spit out a sketch for a blog post, and I can have this in a blog post form as well. There are easy ways now using AI as a tool, not as the source of information, but there are easy ways to repurpose lots of different pieces of information and content. Don't forget also to actually break it down into frequently asked questions. Frequently asked questions can be blogs or pieces of content, but the other way around. You know, things that you are answering in content are great snippets for people also ask and featured snippets. You've just got to code it in the right way on your site. So, ensure that your digital agency is adding that correctly to your business website and to your service pages. And then, try and make it all part of a wider digital strategy. As I've mentioned, we need to ensure that our author biography, our authority, is carried across consistently, however we're presenting content. So, for example, I am Chris Good, and I'm going to be Chris Good on YouTube, on podcast. I'm going to be Chris Good on my blog posts and on my LinkedIn profile, and I would have similar titles. But also, again, the schema code in the back is going to have that consistent linking between all of my different profiles, and that will help create a sort of an ecosystem, I suppose, of who I am and the different pieces of content that I'm putting out there. And so, you need to make sure that there's a digital strategy that's wider than just a piece of content. You need to rank content, whether it's a service page or a case study or a blog post or a helpful how-to video. You need to link all of that into a method of audience capture. Your website is the best place to do this. And then you need the mechanism to have a lead nurture campaign. So email marketing is really, really fantastic for that. But you have to use that as a wider digital strategy. I think that's where I'll leave it now. I've yapped quite a lot about all of the different aspects of it, but I suppose just to summarize again, it really is try to think of your business and your brand as having a profile, a platform, and you want to ensure that your name is always presented consistently, your branding is always presented consistently, and that you are providing the sort of content that has a crowd forming around you. So we don't just want to churn out marketing agency type blog posts or faceless videos. It's much more beneficial for our brand and our business if we are the professional standing in front of a camera or seemingly writing the blog post ourselves from our own voice, giving our own professional opinion. Even if it's a bit different to others, that's what helps it stand out as that definitive view. And if we have a broadening platform for our name and for our professional stance, if that is becoming broader and more prominent, then that lends weight to our words anyway. Daniel Priestley is really great about he speaks about becoming a key person of influence, makes the comment that, and it's consistent with all marketing really, which is that somebody has to have 5 to 7 touches with you, with your business or interactions in order to start liking you, knowing you, trusting you, and wanting to buy from you. Daniel Priestley speaks about content being that people need to spend a good few hours, I think it says 5 to 7 hours, in your content before they start really feeling at home with you and that you are someone that they can trust, and before they're actually in a position to buy from you. So we've got to remember as well that not everyone that comes along to our website is in a position to buy. They're not ready to be that impulsive. And whilst there should always be a prominent call to action, which is buy now, book now, something along those lines, close that deal, the far more, the most frequently used call to action is actually learn more information or give me something for free and I'll give you my email. Is usually that is what people are responding to way more than a primary call to action. Understanding that, I suppose we end up being able to isolate our true goal. When somebody comes to our website, when we have gained visibility, we do have to have the prominent close the sale call to action in place, but our real game is nurture. Our real game is to provide value and have people coming back to us as a source of trustworthy information, and possibly then to purchase one of our smaller deals. Daniel Priestley speaks about that also. But that's definitely the way that a sale process usually goes. Our best sales from a customer are probably going to be the follow-up sales, our second sales. The thing that we sell them at first is probably going to be a tester, a small product that requires little investment on their part. They can test out whether our words actually mean something. Do they get value from that smaller item that they've purchased? And then once they have that deeper sense of trust, it's probably going to be time to present them with, one of our bigger items for sale. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Content marketing is all about building up. It's all about establishing your authority, but more than that, it's about building up relationship and rapport. And we have to be consistent in our message to do that. Okay, I hope you found that helpful. So if you're a small local business, do not give up on content marketing. But if you are hiring an agency to help you do that, make sure that they are paying attention to the back-end code, to the schema. In order to rank with AI tools these days, you actually need not just to be optimizing for keywords, but there's a particular markdown page that should be in the back of every part of your content, and that should be implemented for every piece of content that's created for your site. I think I'll put a blog post about that more specifically because it's a bit more complex than speaking about it in a podcast. But I'll get a blog post together for that on my website, chrisgood.online, and you can check that out if you feel that would be helpful. But yes, so I'll leave it there. Content marketing isn't dead, but just like any other time, we need to make sure that it's helpful and valuable content to our ideal buyer, and let the chips fall where they may.